we continue our review and exploration of Steinitz games with this book on Game 3. Game 3 was part of another match that Steinitz played. It seems in that time he was playing a lot of matches. In fact, here the book mentions one match against Joseph Henry Blackburn that was called Black Death because he was one of the strongest players, and I think we saw some on game or something from this book, but I think I also have another book on him. And this match against Blackburn finished with Steinitz winning +7, -1, so he lost only one game and drew 2 games. In this case, the game that we are going to watch is the 4th game of a match between Steinitz versus Deacon. Deacon was Frederick Deacon, an Anglo-Belgian player. The match was won by Steinitz with a +5, -1 = 1. So Steinitz won 5 games, lost 1 and drew 1. It seems that in this point of his career Steinitz was playing the King's Gambit, and it's called the Kizeritsky Gambit. It's a variation of a King's Gambit, and it seems that he was really working hard, which means like I said, most players do their homework, right? Today for their opening preparation, Steinitz did the same. Steinitz was white, he started with e4, and Deacon was black. e5, f4, e takes f4, knight f3, g5, h4, g4, and knight e5. So the Kizeritsky Gambit, characterized by white's 4th and 5th moves, allows black to gain material and establish a cramping kingside pawn duo in white's half of the board. So here the question is, can you suggest why white might nevertheless obtain sufficient compensation for the gambit pawn? And here the answer is white's game also contains many positional positive in no particular order and not exhaustive can be, and here the author gives obviously 4 different points that one should know about white prose. Obviously you need to study and to play the gambits at the beginning of your chess career. So after learning the checkmate, like we have seen from this book, you want to learn some basic endgames, and then for the opening you will simply play gambits. Why? Because playing gambits will allow you to understand the value of time and material in chess. So that's the most important thing. The game continues with knight f6, bishop c4. Obviously is attacking f7, right? Now it seems that the game continues obviously with d5, e takes d5, and in the game bishop d6 was played, but against Zukertort in 1882 in Vienna, Zukertort played bishop g7. So eventually we will see if in this book or another maybe there is that game, okay? Because that could be interesting to see. But in this game bishop d6 was played. Now the game continued with d4, knight h5. And here the author gives another game that Steinitz played as white. I watched it briefly, is not really worth it because black continue to move this bishop, showing that he's not really a good player. So that game doesn't mean much to me, but those who buy the book, they can watch it by themselves. So after knight h5 there is knight c3. Notice that this bishop is not really badly positioned because practically it blocks this and it blocks everything. So it's interesting, his position. Here the author writes, we are entering very murky waters. White's main alternative is castle instead of knight c3, after which it's possible to take on h4. And of course there is a scenario here that shows the castle and queen takes h4 and how white should react to it. Honestly, if you are not going to study the king's gambit, maybe you don't care. So let's move on. Black played queen e7. Obviously it seems that in the 1850s this was a move that many players would play, knight g3. So also here there is half a page, more than half a page, an entire page of analysis that maybe some people can be interested in, okay? Okay, so instead of queen e7, please notice that in the book there is one entire page of analysis if black plays knight g3. I'm honestly not going to show you a page of opening analysis, also if I understand it's very complicated. It's very interesting for those who play the king's gambit, okay? And of course, the problem is that much of this analysis we don't know if it's computer produced, so I don't know if you really care if you don't play the king's gambit. If you play the king's gambit, you need to watch it. So after queen e7, white continue with bishop b5 and c6. It seems c6 is the best move. Now the problem is all related to this, no? If you stop or block the check with something on d7, this is going to fall, okay? So that's the problem here. It seems that Deacon lost the 7th match game after, instead of c6, he played king d8. And this I'm going to show it to you because it's relevant to the fact that it was a match. So black definitely tried to improve but couldn't find a better way to deal with it. So let's see how he loses very quickly. Castle, okay, bishop takes e5, d takes e5, queen takes e5, rook e1, queen f6, queen e2, and now you have to play c6, to which there is d takes c, b takes c, and knight e4 with an enduring advantage, and this was played, it seems, by Steinitz against Belajev in London 1873. But there is a variation with queen takes h4 on the 12th move. Okay, thank you. Which leads to checkmate. I'm sorry, it seems it doesn't show us the 7 match game of a match with Deacon. It just quote 3 other games that are not with Deacon. Sorry. Let me return back to the position from which we started this line. Okay, so here we saw that Deacon lost the game after this move, but we didn't see all the game. It was just quoted up to move 16 and given a kind of enduring advantage. At the same time, let's see, the best move is the one that he played now, but he didn't know it. It's c6. After d takes c6, b takes c6, there is a beautiful move by white, and here the author doesn't ask you which one it is, but I want to ask you because I think it opens your mind to the idea of gambits and to the fact that you must go very fast, very strong when you are playing a gambit. It's not a joke. You really need to attack. So if you were white, what would you play? Notice that this move is not marked as exceptional, amazing and so on, but I find it's interesting. So white played knight d5. Why? Because this is pin, okay? So you cannot take, and this is attacking. And when you attack, it happens that the opponent will make mistakes, because you have to find the right move, and the humans are not computers, okay? So what happened here is that can you find the best move for black? Let's see if you can find it. The best move is queen b7, but black didn't find it. Black played queen e6, that unfortunately is not a good move, okay? So how does it continue here? What do you think he played white after queen e6? So once again, pause the video and try to learn something from this. It's a very good exercise. It's like if I'm your partner in study and I ask you a question. What do you play now as white? White played knight c7, and by the way, I just nicked my artery with this thing, I don't know. Luckily we are in America and we will be able to sue the maker of these pieces. Bishop takes c7, bishop c4, and once again black cannot find the correct move, which seems is queen f5, and he plays queen e7. That is a dubious move. Obviously the bishop is on c4, it goes on f7, right? That's all the reason there was this. And here it seems that in a manual, the 1891 manual handbook says to continue with queen takes f7, but in the game, by the way, this game was played in 1863, so obviously 1891 it's later, right? With hindsight everybody is able to give a good judgment, but in the game he played king f8. So that's kind of important. How did this continue? Well, from f7 he goes to pick up the knight. Then it's black turn to pick up a knight, d takes e5, queen takes e5, and at this point there is queen e2. Notice that at this point we are at move 18, okay? While white may not be in the best position, it's true that black has 3 pieces that he still doesn't use, right? So I don't know. Queen take h5, and bishop takes f4, going one time nearer to a possible castling, or castling on this side and have the rook directly threatening this king. And here the author of the book says white's advantage has now reached winning proportion. The question is, can you suggest why? The answer is that white has completely cleared the F file, the E file, and the D file. Okay? So he has 3 files that are ready to be used by the heavy pieces like the rooks and the queen to try to give checkmate to this enemy king. Okay? How did the game continue? Bishop f5, castle, knight d7. Finally black has nearly finished the development, but it's maybe too late. Bishop h6, check, boom. Of course, now it's up to you to finish the question and say, what happens after queen takes h6? In the game, black played king f7, but after queen takes h6, white wins in any case. It's up to you guys to see that. So if you are here, you pause your video and you make your calculation of what happens after queen takes h6. Okay? Now let's see how it ends the game. After king f7, white plays rook takes f5, check. Queen takes f5. Once more, rook f1. Queen takes f1. Queen takes f1, check. King g6. Obviously now you need to protect this because you are running out of pieces. Bishop g5, h6, and queen d3. So we start to use the queen as a bishop. And as you can see, it's like if white has a bishop pair. King h5, thinking that he can escape, but unfortunately this is not the case. The game ends up with bishop in e7. Why the bishop in e7? Because obviously queen f5 is checkmate. No, it's not checkmate if you can remove this bishop, okay? But the bishop is in e7 because he wants to take control of the fate, right? So guys, it's up to you to see the end, but this is practically the question that white is trying to give to black. How do you take me away from f5 and avoid the checkmate? Okay, I think this was another beautiful game played by Steinitz. As we can see, they are all played in like 25-27 moves. And the next video will show you game 4 against Adolf Andersen, that was also one of the giants of that century.